everybody. Welcome to Justice Served Daily. And I am thrilled to have Mama Bear and Paige up here with me today for we can all talk to you guys. And by the way, I am looking at the comment of rescue all the dogs. By the way, Rizzo, I knew I would do that. You know why? Because Rozzi, I don't know why I want to call him Rizzo. And if there's any Grease fans out there, you know exactly who I always think of every time. I don't know why I do that. I do that all the time. And that's
I was going to say, it's not a musical, but it is a circus.
Yes. If I say Rizzo, I'm not talking about like the Pink Ladies, okay? It's not about that.
Oh my
It's not up. So thank you for pointing that out because I didn't even pay attention to that and craziness. So I appreciate that. Hello, Understand Blue. Hello. I am so sorry. I know, Rizzo. I'll fix it when we're all in.
Making me kind of want to watch Grease now.
Now I know I do. Now everybody, that'll be the thing. We'll recommend everybody to go.
We'll all watch that later.
Oh my God. So, all right. Here's the thing. You know, so much crap goes on lately about the case that, you know, you kind of sit back and you're like, okay, there's stuff in there. And then you see other things that are posted or shared or the most unbelievable conspiracy type shit created out there that you're just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it is so sad. It really is so sad because, you know, I guess when you look at watching true crime, you know, you can sit here and you watch like maybe you watch a show and you're like, oh, you heard about this case and you know, this is a cold case or something, and you hear about it and you go into it and you're doing all that stuff and whatever. And I guess normally if you watch this stuff, you know, on TV or whatever, it's one thing. But when you are near and knowing of the families and more of stuff about that, it makes it so much more different. And when it's a fresh case that's trying to be solved, it makes it much different, you know? And
we're talking about human beings here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're talking about people dealing with stuff that's out there and
the most unimaginable grief.
Yeah. And I'm gonna, you know, here's the thing. I am not a reporter. So since I'm not a reporter, not that I won't be fair and balanced of information that that I would share with you, right? I'm going to share with you info that comes out. I'm only going to share with you facts about stuff. If I can't wholeheartedly prove it, there's some shit I would love to show everybody. But if I can't prove it all the way and I only have one source of something, I don't do that, right? I don't do that because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to put there something out there unless I'm sure. I would never do that. But since I'm not a reporter, I'm just a human being. I'm going to have a bias, and you guys are all going to hear about it. And it's going to be about this bullshit with the defense team. Okay? And there are some pieces of it I will give to you. The people who are pro-defense, I know your rights and the Constitution. I get all that, okay? I get all that, what's there. But so let's start.
Where?
I don't even know where. I don't. And let me tell you. And here's the other frustrating you guys don't know is that I have notes in a book, and that I always put notes in my phone when I'm finding out shit or whatever. And then I did something, and now my phone is saying verbal commands when I try to open it, and it won't open, and it makes me tap on it twice instead of once.
She's having a meltdown about it.
So now when I enter my password and I start with the first number and I tap it twice, because it says you have to tap it twice. Well, when I tap it twice, it enters that same number 4 fucking times, and it doesn't let me open my phone. So now my phone talks to me, but it won't open. I've tried to reset it. If you know how to fix a goddamn Samsung phone from doing this shit, please email me at justiceserveddaily@gmail.com, because I'm a little pissed about it right now, right?
She's got people talking to her page. She says it's her phone. She says it's her phone.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
It's because you've kept so much from this case in that phone that it's finally just gone, nope, can't deal with it anymore. I mean, too much. No.
I definitely have had to, sit here and keep like moving shit and moving files from it because I have so much
keep
crap.
The storage.
I'm just like, I have a lot of shit. I have a lot of shit. And I know that, but I keep everything, which is good, because sometimes when people are like, oh, well, we don't know. Oh shit. Why did I just do that?
Because you wanted to correct.
So now her computer is also doing things by itself.
Right. Exactly. God dang it. I swear.
Oh, I can see where this show's going.
No.
It's the case. It's the
circus. Oh my God. Stop sharing, because I'm a mess. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Okay, it's not going to be holding it together.
It will not be.
Very sorry,
it will not be. Hold on. Okay, wait a minute. I think I remembered how I'm supposed to do this. Hold on. See, the thing is, I have too much shit open again, and oh my God. And all I wanted to do was like show my little slide thingy, because I was so excited.
She works so hard on them, guys. She really does.
So here was the theme. This is the Indiana Supreme Court that are going to decide and entertain the bullshit that's going to them, right? And I had to use there are so many appropriate Judge Judy memes that gifs I could have used for this, right? and it was hard to pick one. It was really hard to pick one. But the oh my God, your stupidity gives me a headache seemed appropriate. It just
really fitting,
freaking appropriate during this whole thing.
To say the least.
Right, exactly. So there you go.
So you want to dive in?
Yes. So let's start with, I'm going to start with the good stuff first.
Because she's good like that.
I am gonna start with something that people talk about. Well, what is the big deal of crime scene photos getting out there, or the assholes who have said, and I have to, and by the way, ROZZO. Oh my God. Rozzi was one of them, right? Rozzi was one of them. I can't believe I put ROZZO. I am losing my.
It's not even remotely the
I can't believe it. But I swear to God, I'm so glad I have you guys to check me. Thank you. That way, later in the future, you guys.
Rosie will appreciate you.
Not that way I don't get sued for calling him Rosie. So people are, people act like it's no goddamn big deal. There are people who said that the crime scene wasn't that bad, right? The crime scene's not that bad. Really? Okay, I want anybody out there to imagine that your daughter was murdered. Okay, you're not told, because you're not supposed to be told what the hell the crime scene is. Minus, yes, everybody early in the case knows that there was somebody who knew the family who found the girls, and there was a little bit of shit that got out there, right? So some of us knew about a little bit of stuff. Nobody knew if it was true. It was just, hey, they heard this and they heard that, right? And if you don't have that, there was always, talking about very early on. And I know I have to tell this because, a lot of people, depending on when you came in the case, may not know of what stuff was known. It was told early on that there was heard that about the girl saying about a gun, right? It was told about a gun. Of course, we didn't know about the bullet, but we knew about a gun. But then when there was the funerals, we heard about a knife, based on what they talked about when the girls' bodies were being, buried.
What injuries were supposedly seen.
And so, we knew about that stuff. So it was like, that's interesting, what's going on and stuff. But they don't tell everything. And that doesn't mean that the mother, the father, their sisters, their family members, the kids they go to school with, whomever else would see what the crime scene is. And then to have some people go, well, it's not that bad. Are you kidding me? You're kidding me, right?
First of all, does that mean that they've looked at these pictures? If they're okay to say they're not that bad?
Yep.
Well, because I haven't seen them, and just the thought of what they could possibly even be like is horrifying.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Horrifying.
So one of the things that I wanted to go back and to show, as we're going to talk about this, and remember that I'm going to show this because it's several reasons, and we'll get into it. And I have to break it in the middle too, because it's about 6 minutes long. So whatever. Okay, this is the FBI. He's a special agent. He was in charge of the Indianapolis office. Now, if you guys also remember, I shared with you guys a long time ago about the scandal with the FBI Indianapolis office that involved, I'm sure a lot of you may have heard about it, about the U.S. Olympics, Girls Olympics team, and about Dr. Nasser, right, who was abusing those girls. They went repeatedly to an FBI Indianapolis detective, was telling about stuff going on for like over a year that was being told, nothing was done. Well, that original guy, he was fired. Now, this guy was his boss. He's the one who did interview to possibly go work for the Olympics that were based here in Indianapolis. Okay. But he did retire. Now, the whole case thing that went down in DC, and I have all the videos from it, of the Congress asking the head of the FBI, meaning nationally, Ray, asking why was he able to retire versus possibly getting fired because of all the stuff that happened. But he retired. So there was nothing that they found that he did, but there was kind of weird stuff about the whole damn thing with the Olympics. So I want to point out, this is one and the same. So he was in charge. The guys that, when that was going on, were in charge of the FBI Indianapolis office here, and when the Delphi case was going on. And he did work with Doug Carter on the case. But I wanted to show this because he says some interesting things that I think is pertinent to the crime scene, but other things of how many officers and everything that was involved. So let me show this for you guys.
The FBI doesn't necessarily have jurisdiction for murder cases. This was clearly a case that was within the jurisdiction of the state police. And Doug Carter, superintendent of Indiana State Police, is a good friend and a great colleague during that time and continues to be a great friend. He came and asked for our assistance. As the special agent in charge of the FBI's Indianapolis division, I had during my tenure the option, the authority to provide whatever assistance he might want to the level that I thought was appropriate. I was absolutely enthused to unleash every FBI asset, technical ability, anything that we had to try to help him solve this case. Indiana State Police stayed the forefront and in charge of the case. But I will tell you that there were those days when the FBI certainly had more personnel in and around Delphi than anyone else in law enforcement. Some days, I think we were over 100 personnel that I was trying to keep track of, all doing various things in different capacities, whether it was with the command post, videography type things, voice type analysis, crime scene experts, behavioral analysis experts, and then, of course, just numerous agents pounding the pavement and running down leads that we had from thousands and thousands of tips.
When you're out there, week 1, week 2, month 5, year 1, what goes through your guys' mind when you are still no arrests?
Each day that went by, we just felt like that we were going to be closer and closer and closer. And the investigators that Doug with the state police had assigned to the case and that I had assigned from the FBI were extremely competent, very reliable, very intuitive as to how they did their investigations. They worked together seamlessly, and we were very proud of them because of that. So we just felt like with each day that we would have that break. I was very impressed oftentimes, and I would go up there repeatedly. And in the position I was in as the person who was in charge of the division for the FBI, you want to make sure you're careful not to meddle and interfere with the investigators' efforts. But you want to make sure they have all the tools they need and have everything possible that they can have at their disposal to have success. And one of the things I was most impressed by when I would go up to the command post, and I would always try to go up at times when I wouldn't be a hindrance, but they would usually start their day with a prayer. And just, today is going to be the day that we finally bring justice to this case and ease the pain of, for the families and for the community. And I was very impressed with that. And just to go up there and see everybody genuinely wanting to see a positive outcome in this case and bring closure, bring a solution, bring an end to it was something I was very impressed with. And that was my involvement in making sure all that ran smoothly and the investigators had everything they needed.
You guys can hear that all okay, right?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay. Before we continue that part, I think one of the things that that I want to point out before he says the next statement that's going to be what's key about this crime scene comment that he's going to end up saying is that when you listen to him and when he talks about that early on that he has 100 agents out there helping with that tip line and the specialty people that he said that they had, right? That they had video and voice experts that were involved. And then the behavioral analysis unit, right? Which if you watch true crime, a lot of us watch that, stuff that goes on to it. But I found it interesting that he talks about very early on how engaged, how involved. Now, we all can argue the fact that they did lose the video, somehow lose the video pictures that they had at the gas station, right? The gas station that they were trying to find out waiting there. And that's where supposedly that, Keegan Klein was supposed to be at. But, and then somehow the FBI lost that. But let's listen to the last piece of this.
That you were fairly confident it'd be solved fairly soon after, correct?
Yes.
4 years later, and we are still saying an unsolved case. What do you make of that?
Sometimes I feel more things than I can really articulate.
Mhm.
The exasperation and frustration is always there. And in the times that Doug Carter and his wife and my wife occasionally get together for dinner, it's at some point in our conversation, the topic comes up because I know it's still very close to Doug's thoughts, and it continues to be in mine. And it's something that we spoke about an awful lot as we just, when is something going to happen? And again, the numerous things that we had at our disposal and all the information and evidence that existed, it just boggles the mind. And I am certain, and I know Doug feels the same way, there's someone out there who knows something, who knows the person, who knows something about the murder. That person, he or she, is either afraid to come forward because they're fearful, or maybe they even feel themselves being complicit in some way. And to that person, I would tell them, we'll protect you. You'll be safe. And they would be doing an incredible service to the families and the community by bringing closure to them. And because I feel so strongly about many of the not circumstantial things, many of the crime scene things of which we won't speak about that point to more of a signature that the killer left behind, we feel very confident that person comes forward. That's the thing that will help us tie it together. And that person who is out there and hopefully would be viewing something like this would hopefully build that courage and know that what they were doing really would have a deep meaning for the families and the community that have suffered this tragedy. There are things that occurred or that were found in the crime scene that only the killer would know. And so those are things that it's been explained to the family and others, and certainly in the media, that we just can't speak about because we don't want the killer to know that what we know. And whoever he or she is, more probably he, that person is out of freedom now, really, in many ways. They have to wake up every morning knowing and wondering if today's the day that they're going to finally be caught. Are those persons who might potentially know something circumstantially about them that will give them away will actually come forward. And so that person already is not free, whether they care or not about this horrendous act that they committed. They'll be caught at some point.
I knew the girls were.
Sorry. So, I mean, it is just upsetting because anybody, all of you out there who watch stuff on true crime know that is the one reason the crime scene is protected. It's protected because they know that the murderer is going to be the only one who knows this.
Yeah,
They're going to be the
them
only
and the
ones to
police.
expose. Or if they said a comment to somebody, right? I mean, when you look at the fact that they talk about that somebody else, for example, if there's somebody else involved, how would you know if somebody else is involved? They could turn around and go, you know what? This person mentioned to me that they knew blah, blah, blah happened, or that Richard Allen said this to somebody and they knew that happened. How could they say that now when the crime scene is exposed out there?
Everybody knows it.
I mean, I just hope that what was depicted as the crime scene and what took place is not actually fully accurate.
Yes.
I think that, that brings me back to, like, who does it benefit that the crime scene photos got leaked, right? Who does that benefit? And I think when we look at that, you also have to look at the timing that everything was happening. And when you go backwards in what was going on, what happened prior to this, you know, everything else that had been going on before. So I'm trying to figure out which way is the best way to go into this, but I'll just go into first about what we know from the defense, and then I'll show these documents. So the defense team has admitted in their actual court filings, they admitted that the leak came out because of their office. Okay, it's out there. They have admitted that in the last filings and stuff that they did. They admit to that it got out there. So as we kind of, you know, brought up before, and if you guys watched the show with that me and Anya Kane also talked about, helped explain a little bit more about the leaks and what was going on. Now we get a version that comes from the actual source site of it. And so you've got, coming from Richard Allen's defense team, where I'm gonna so end up calling him Rozzi again. I'm just so up in there. You've got where they admit that Mitch Westerman, who is the former employee who worked at the Baldwin office, out of Valparaiso, and that Baldwin just thought that this guy was just really good strategically, and, you know, he has good thoughts and stuff on everything. Baldwin, first of all, does admit that he is sharing the details about the case and stuff with him, which he's not supposed to be doing. He is not a member of their office. It is not just for him to generally go in there and start just sharing this with anybody, and definitely not supposed to share protective custody discovery information, such as the crime scene. We all know there is a lot of cold cases everybody's covered. How many of those have you ever seen the crime scene photos of? And if you ever did see it, I bet you $1 million if you ever saw that some crime scene photos were released, you were shocked as hell that they even let those go. Right? I mean, I know there's a couple cases.
Yeah, the Paradise Lost bloody documentary.
Right, exactly.
The opening scenes are the crime scenes of the little boys.
Right.
Crazy.
And honestly, that was shocking to me that those even came out.
I know.
I was like, oh my God, I can't believe. I mean, normally they may have like a scene and then there's a blur and you can't tell what the blur is. So you're like, why are they even showing this?
There's not even pictures, it's actual footage.
Right, of them finding them. And so you've got Westerman, who admits that he took photos, because he goes into Baldwin's office one day, which they're saying, according to Baldwin, they're thinking that was probably around August time he may have done this, but that he goes into the office and Baldwin's busy, either on a phone call or in an office with somebody or whatever. And so that Westerman just happens to go into the conference room where they have all of this put out, where they work on the case, which is what Baldwin said. They use that room to work on the case. And so Westerman just strolls inside the office, strolls inside the conference room, sees these photos in there, and then he takes photos of discovery. But mind you, he does not say he only takes photos of the crime scene. He's saying he takes photos of the discovery laying out there. So there definitely can be more stuff he had access to, right? More things he took pictures of. But obviously what we're dealing with is the crime scene part of it, right? So then you've got where then he admits that he does that. And then he turns around and he gives it to a military friend of his who, if you've watched the show and the show we had last, well, that I'll refer to it just like the murder sheet because I don't want to say his name still, because he's not culpable unless they find out something. But this military friend who is starts with an R. He is the gentleman who commits suicide. And he commits suicide basically after he is contacted by the Indiana State Police, knowing that he has the crime scene photos. And basically, instead of speaking to the Indiana State Police about the crime scene photos, he turns around and tells them that he wants an attorney. And so then within a couple of days after this, right, he commits suicide. But the R sent this information off to our friend in Texas, who was where that information was sent out. But he didn't just share that, hey, here's the crime scene photos. Please go tell the state police. He sent the actual chain of the emails. So, if that gets out, you kind of have to make sure you're telling the truth about dates you're saying to people, because that could be tracked. I don't know how that keeps going on and stuff from that. But when they have the dates and stuff, of it, basically what I found odd, and I about you guys too, but so supposedly October 9th is when Baldwin is informed by Westerman of, hey, I did this and so sorry, and I sent it to this guy, and then this guy sent it to this other guy, and now it's out there. And after he does that, he turns around, and supposedly this is at 4 p.m. that Baldwin's told. So Baldwin turns around, and at 4:48 p.m. he sends an email, right? And to tell Rozzi about it, right?
Yeah.
And after he does that, that's it. He just sends the email. Well, Rozzi says he doesn't see it because he had a parents thing at the school, and he was doing stuff with his kids that night. So he doesn't even open it and see it until the 10th of October. And then once he sees it, then they're like, okay, well, we need to contact McLeland, and we need to contact Judge Gull. And then that's when it starts moving, as soon as, he knows about it. So here's my question. When I found out that somebody is floating around crime scene photos about the girls, anybody that you guys talked to about the Delphi case, I bet you $1 million you sat here and you all were like, oh my God, you talked to whoever you talked to immediately, right? And you'd be like, oh my God, you won't believe this. So-and-so is saying they've got this, or this information and stuff is out there. And you are immediately trying to talk to them because that's a new development.
Absolutely.
You're like, oh my God, this is huge. But you are the actual defense attorney who is supposed to be surprised that somebody took photos of evidence that's in your protective custody. You find out that they took this photo, they shared it out. It's out there to the general public, and it's as drastic as it's the crime scene. And you just send an email and you don't try to call him.
Right.
You don't send I mean, I was
Very weird.
I told Paige and Mama Bear, I probably messaged them in Discord, sent
Oh,
them an email. You know what I mean?
we
Like
were
crazy. Like what the
texting. I
hell?
mean, we'll call each other. We don't care. And that's any case that we're working on. I believe, if it's something serious, you know,
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
I wouldn't wait for a response from any of you guys. I'd keep hounding you. I'm sorry, but it's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah. And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't feel like that is a reaction of somebody who is shocked and surprised that information got out. I'm going to say, in my opinion, I have suspicion that this was done on purpose. I don't think it was an accidental release of information. And the reason I say that is because the only thing I can assume in that benefits anybody is that at the time this was all going down, that Frank's hearing was filed. And that's supposed to be of them arguing. Remember, they're arguing about, we want the evidence thrown out. They, and we think that Liggett lied, and that's how he got the search warrant, and we want all of this thrown out. That's all that's supposed to be. But remember, we have 100 additional pages that they talk about the crime scene, and they're describing it to you. So if they're describing it to you, why would it benefit anybody else but the defense team in trying to get it out there for people to see? Now, mind you, things that they said are in their interpretation, right? There's stuff that they're over dramatizing, overstating, over whatever of information on there. You know that when they're like, oh, well, this is because it meant this and it means this, their interpretation total. But they would want what they just released describing the scene, which I thought was bad enough at the time, that they were describing the crime scene in that Frank's hearing stuff, and then the was out there.
Yeah, no kidding. It's disgusting.
It's like unheard of. I've never heard of this happening.
This was
not at all.
Into the worst case. I've told you. I've said.
Goddamn circus.
It's worse than OJ. Seriously. It really, truly is. Less the car chase. How many, miles on the freeway. It's absurd. And who's caught in the middle? Abby and Libby. Sorry.
Yeah, and they seem to always be the ones that are forgotten about, which really riles me up too.
Yep, exactly.
So we know, because of all this, the thing that was filed with the Indiana Supreme Court is 3 things to happen. The 3 things that they asked to happen is, 1, they want to be reinstated. And I'm trying to make sure I pull up the right documents for you guys. 1, to be reinstated as the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
1 is that they want Judge Gull to be removed. And the 3rd thing is they want a speedy trial. You've got to be kidding me.
70 days. Yep. Yep.
You.
By the way, Chopper Harris, yes, I am from Wales. Sorry.
They knew you weren't from and I want to make sure, let me make sure I pull the right one up here. I don't want to pull the wrong document up that I want you guys to look at first. Okay, that's what it's called. Record.
JSD,
Okay,
real quick, I'm sorry. Can you click on Jinx while we're thinking about it? I'm sorry.
Can I click on her? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Please.
Hold on. Let me think. Yes.
I tried to message, but I didn't go that way.
Oh shit. Hold on. I'm gonna have to redo that in a second. Hold on.
No problem.
Let me go in here and let me see if it lets me do this at the same time. Oh yes, it does. Aha.
Looky that.
It lets me do this and this at the same time.
You go, girl.
Why does it do that to me? Let me see. Wow, it won't let me do that. Hey, I don't know what that means. Okay, well, I don't know what it's making me do. All right. So this is the Supreme Court info. This is information and filing that they did. I thought it was interesting because they're showing all of the dates and everything of stuff that they've been doing and proceedings for the court, right? And when they talk about this initial hearing, so there were some things that were pointed out that Judge GULL did not so that there were some things that the Judge GULL was not happy about, and the Judge GULL felt that they violated prior to this actual release of the crime scene photos. Obviously, the crime scene photo thing is like the big and the ultimate thing, right? But when they talked about it, they talked about, I'm sure you guys remember when they sat here and they had the press release that was done like right from the beginning. And that's when we sat here and this gag order was put in by the prosecution, right? Because of all what was being done by that. Then they had this, the emergency motion that they filed. And that was to move Richard Allen, right, guys? Well, do you guys all remember the photo of Richard Allen that got leaked out there to show what Richard Allen looked like? And poor Richard Allen, they're not letting him change his underwear or his t-shirt or anything. And then it comes back that after they find this all out, that he did have other clothes and stuff he could have changed into. He chose not to, and he was just outside at his recess or whatever the heck they call it for him to come in, and he went and he had his picture taken like that to make him look terrible, disheveled, and unclean.
Incompetent.
So then they had the tort that was which was new. I was not aware that there was a tort filed by Richard Allen and them, basically like, if something happens to him in prison, we're going to sue them.
Yeah.
So you have that issue. Now remember the reason. Well, I won't jump there yet. Then you've got the Franks. Then you've got the Franks memorandum that's on September. So you've got all these dates of everything that happened. So the letter, the press release is all November. They got assigned to them. In October. So then you've got, well, I take that back. He wasn't assigned because they had to wait and find somebody. But anyway, they were found pretty quickly. Then you got September of this year that Franks memorandum with the crime scene goes out and is in there. Now, the problem is there's a couple of things. There's a lot of shit. I take that back. There's a lot of shit.
She said a couple. I was like, really?
No, there's a lot of shit. So, one, they act like, they're like, oh, we think that the guy got a copy of the photo maybe in August. Well, wouldn't you know from the guy? Although that when Westerman did his filing states only, he goes, I went in there, I took a picture of it, unbeknownst to them. That's it. He doesn't say, and by the way, I sent it to my buddy from here, and then my buddy sent whatever, he doesn't admit anything else. All he does is admit, I took the photo of the stuff. That's it. That's all he admits. A very short affidavit that he taking responsibility of the photo getting out there. So you've got that's going on. You've got that happens in that same time frame. Right after this, Frank's motion goes out September 18th. So then all of a sudden on September 18th, you're asking all this stuff to go on, the Franks hearings out there, and then by October 9th is when supposedly they know about that now this was being passed around. What was the other thing that they also said that was happened? They also say, and I know you guys may know all of this, is they're also talking about how other discovery was emailed accidentally to somebody.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we know who that was, right?
Accident.
Because
Yeah.
that person claimed all over YouTube that they had got accidentally sent something and was threatening to sue
Hmm.
the defense attorneys for getting them involved. Well,
Yep.
isn't that odd? Was that the first attempt to try to get it out there? And that was who the person was that they were going to use for it? Again, this is totally my opinion. I'm just speaking off the cuff here. And then you're going to tell me that they're suing to have GULL removed because she doesn't. These are all the stuff about the motion for the transcript and shit like that. Give me a break. They knew they were going to be removed. You know how we know knew they were going to be removed? How about he hired a fucking attorney?
Yeah.
An attorney hired an attorney.
He just felt like having a companion with him. Come on.
Yeah, you know, he just wanted to be extra safe.
Spread the love. You know?
So they sit here and they're writing stuff to the judge about not being removed on the 12th of October before they had the hearing on October 19th. It was 7 days later. But Baldwin goes and he has David Hennessy walk in for him, arguing why he shouldn't be removed. They filed that hours before the go to court. He has him showing up to represent him, which is another thing that the judge wasn't happy about, right? That she wasn't thrilled about that shit. And then you had Richard Allen write you a letter, which, you know what? Isn't that great? The suspect of a murderer of 2 children is going to be like, hey, I don't care. He's a good dude. Let's keep him. Bullshit.
Justice, tell us how you really feel. Please.
Oh my God. It just makes me so angry. I just want to know, why do people think that Judge GULL should be in trouble because the defense team leaked this shit? Somebody explain that to me. I want somebody to explain. I will listen to you. Tell me that.
The defense counsel have got no due process rights in the term of the defendant. So,
yeah.
And also,
they said they were ambushed, and yet Richard Allen, files a letter.
Yeah, and they're talking about the violation of his Sixth Amendment rights when, the law doesn't say that the defendant has the right to an appointed counsel.
No. I mean, if you're paying for your own counsel, that's one thing. But if you're appointed counsel, that's a different story, But no, I mean, here, Richard Allen files this letter to the courts saying he wants to, obtain, his original defense team. That was done on October 11th. Okay. But yet they're claiming they were ambushed in judges' chambers. That was the 19th. So make it make sense. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Just,
what does make sense?
None of it.
I see. Here's the thing. Just because the judge doesn't side on all of your motions you keep filing to have shit thrown out, doesn't mean that that's a reason to remove her from the case.
No.
And the judge is the judge. She's supposed to make the decisions based on stuff. She's not even the judge for that. Remember, this is a special assigned judge. The first judge sat here and recused himself from the case.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to Judge Gull. She's already a special assigned judge. And
there are various reasons why an attorney can be removed, you know?
Well, exactly.
Conflict of interests.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, for instances, that they could be removed. I mean,
and it is
generally,
provided by the state attorney. This was not an independent attorney that was hired by Richard Allen. This was a public defender provided by the state of Indiana. So it was not an independent counsel and stuff for that period, which would add a larger complication in the matter if a appointed, hired by, paid for Richard Allen attorney had leaked the information. But this is a public defender assigned by the state.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you go, and by the way, this piece that I'm showing right now, this is, you know what? And I should ask everybody, can you guys see this well enough on the screen, or should I put it full screen? You guys
I
let
can
me
see
know.
it pretty well.
Can you guys all see that out there? Okay. If you guys can see it, okay, press a 1. If you can't see it and you need me to full screen it, press a 2. It is the document. By the way,
just do the swearing emoji.
I need to figure out a way to get all these legal documents that you guys can see. You know what I'm saying? But, all right. So let me show you this. I'll tell you, I learned. Thank you very much. Okay. So when we go down here in this document, I love this table of contents. Okay. So this is at the realtor's brief in support of petition. Okay. So for the writ of mandamus, this is interesting. So here we go. Background. Rick requested and was appointed competent and experienced counsel. Rick's lawyers issued a press release affirming Rick's innocent. Well, there's why we told you to shut up. That's the first thing they got. They hadn't even looked at the shit in the case yet, and they're already saying, "Oh, he's innocent."
Oh, the Frank Smith memorandum was awful too.
So the next one, due to the mental health and physical health, Rick asked to be moved out of maximum security, segregation, confinement. Bullshit. Bullshit. You know why bullshit? You guys know we talked about not that long ago that the defense team is now fighting. They were trying to put that, it's not protective order. I'm trying to think of the right term, but they were restricting that. They did not want the prosecution to get access to his mental health records and his health records. So wait a minute. Why would they do that? Back then they said that the reason he was having trouble was because he was having mental health issues. He's losing all this weight. He's not changing his underwear, and he's confessing to his mom and his wife that
Odinus.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, give me a break. So Rick and his attorneys formulated a strategy of seeking a speedy trial and pursuing a defense of third-party guilt. I'm going to call bullshit too. Do you guys all remember that the defense team was arguing the fact that they could not have their stuff ready and go through all of the discovery in time by the January 2024 case?
Yeah.
Yep.
They were not going to be ready. They could not get through it.
No.
That's why they also asked the court to make the prosecution turn in all discovery that they had, because they were saying that it was kept trickling in. There was so much to go through, and that they kept trickling in, that they wanted it all turned into them by November 1st. which, by the way, I will add, that does not mean that if something else was discovered by the prosecution, they could not submit it. It's just that everything that they would have at point, you know, unless something comes up and they would find something else, they could bring that to the court and say, you know, we've found something else out. This has come to our attention.
So yeah, sorry,
No, go ahead.
JSD.
Go ahead.
Here they're obviously kind of saying that they need a lot more time. They haven't got enough time. And then recently they're obviously trying to push for a speedy trial.
Yeah, 70 days.
So what the hell?
They're ready all of a sudden.
Now you know everything?
Honestly, I think that they're just using that in their argument to try to get them reinstated.
Of course.
Because they're trying
Agreed.
to use that now to say, well, you shouldn't get rid of us because he has a right to a speedy trial, and we were going to have a speedy trial.
Well, sure.
Master
And here they're using
manipulation.
his physical health, right? But yet he's
He's deteriorating. We got to do a speedy trial.
But he's competent enough to write this letter requesting to retain his defense team.
Yeah, they really need to like sit down
need
and
to get
think
their
about
shit
their
together.
strategy, because
I mean-
this is just ridiculous. What the hell?
Well, and then remember, of course, we had that the new filing to remove him from the prison was, please remove him from the prison because the guards, the odious guards, are threatening to kill him because.
So which one is it?
Right, because they want him to take the blame for a murder they committed.
Yeah.
On a victim who that just doesn't correspond with the evidence. It doesn't
But yet he
correspond with
wants
the
to be
evidence.
moved back to Carroll County within the system that he says did him dirty in the first place and set him up.
And he's being threatened by Odinist guards to confess, you know, to his loved ones that he's done this murder. So he does so and confesses to them, but then he tells his attorneys that he was forced to do so. So why not just tell his wife, hi, I'm being forced to say this?
Yep.
So I don't get it.
I'm like,
yeah. Something be fishy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit.
So this document, it just amazes because they talk about then the trial, how the trial attorney removed them and all this. Here's the other thing, you know, they also have the behind the chambers. Let's talk about that. In a chambers, they sit here and have many a times that an attorneys will go back and hash out with the judge, whether pre-trial or housekeeping deals or whatever else it may be, that they may go back and talk in the chambers.
In private, yep.
I looked this stuff up. The chambers is not a common recorded conversation back there that they have.
No.
It may be talked about, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Okay, let's go out there. Now, the only difference that it made is because the attorney showed up with a different attorney. They go back there. Who was in the chambers? It was McLeland. It was Baldwin. It was Rozzi, right?
Right.
And it was Judge Gull. So they're back there. Guess what? I'm sure it's not a giant room that they could not see that there was not a court reporter sitting there.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of noise.
So it hasn't been reported on.
Well, we don't know yet. That's what she was given more time for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, I really don't think that I don't, in my opinion, I don't think she's asking for more time to talk about and I'll pop that on the screen right now, what the Supreme Court's response is. I don't think she's asking for more time because of the writing, because either you have it or you don't, right? You either have it or you don't. I think that the reason she's asking for more time is because she's going to show all of the other stuff that they can prove
that took place.
That took place through this whole entire case.
Absolutely.
And what is going on. Now,
Yeah, you can't
Did
miss
she-
a stenographer. It's just
See-
not possible. So,
she had no idea. How would she know that they are going to quit then? She has no idea they're going to quit then.
no.
She doesn't know that they're going to go back there. And in my opinion, I feel like that Baldwin didn't show, had another attorney showed, and then basically was like, I verbally give my notice that I'm leaving. I'm going to say it. I bet you, and it's an ego thing. It's an ego thing because they're sitting there and he doesn't want to have this happen in front of anybody. Ross is
Well-
probably shocked that it happened. And then that's why then, Baldwin's probably, hangs up. And then Rossi's like, okay, I guess I'll give my notification in writing.
To me, it feels strategic in some way, because I'm just like, why would you obviously remove yourself and then later be like, oh, I changed my mind?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
It makes no sense.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like, what is this strategy? I feel like it's not just an impulsive decision. Like, they're doing all of this they've done for a reason. And I believe it's obviously because they know Richard Allen is guilty, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, with all of this out, where are you going to find an impartial jury? How is that
This
even
is what
going
they're
to be
trying.
possible?
This is what they're trying to do.
Right. I mean, I'm sorry. Paige, can you tell us all again where you're from?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
I
from
mean-
Wales in the
I mean-
United Kingdom.
So,
And I've followed this case for many, many years. And I'm sure a lot of other people have around the world, which
Exactly.
is exactly why
where
it's
are
going to be
you
so.
going to move this, is my point, to find an impartial jury. JSD, got any, input?
Is there a town somewhere that has no internet?
I know, no television.
A town with no internet, maybe?
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
I mean, I think, and that's part of the reason I feel like, okay, this is totally in my opinion, this total just saying it. But I feel that's kind of why that the defense team went this extreme about this is a, Odinist, white supremacy, sacrifice, guard,
Hate crime.
threatening,
Mhm.
thing, because they put it so extreme. What news stories and agencies aren't going to cover it
Sure.
when that type of accusation is out there, right? I mean, who's not?
Well, yeah, it's satanic panic all over again.
Mm-hmm.
The media grabs it.
And runs with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, and like I said, that is normally not information that's argued. That would be argued in front of the jury, because guess what the jury's going to get that everybody else doesn't have yet? And everybody has to remember this. You know what you guys don't have? What is the prosecution's evidence? They haven't leaked out shit. The only
Nope.
thing, I know the people think that the only thing that the prosecution has is a bullet, and that's all, and it's a probable cause, and oh my God, if that's it. But you don't know that.
Right.
We don't know that. Now, if they didn't have anything else and there was in there, you know what? I'm there with you. But because we don't know what else that they found. And I do know that the defense is very much fighting that they want, and they're only going to say the bullet because they're not going to tell you anything else that they found in the house. They're
No,
only
why would they?
the search warrant to be thrown out so that they can get rid of the bullet that we all know about. And
then they never have to reveal
everything
the
else.
rest.
Right. Everything else would be thrown out too. If they throw out the search warrant, you don't keep whatever was maybe found in the car. You don't keep what was found in the house. You don't keep what was found maybe in the trunk, maybe on the seatbelt that we know that they searched. We don't know from the DNA off the bottle of water that they kept from him. We don't know about all of the knives and other stuff they took from there. We don't know about
The
phone,
clothing, the shoes,
the laptop, computer, the cell phones. We don't know
The cat.
anything else that they found.
Just say the cat,
They took everything.
Yep.
It's and how everybody thinks that all of this stuff is going to come out immediately. First of all, you know, one, they're not going to tell us everything, but two, it takes time to get the samples back for these items.
We were having this conversation the other day, weren't we, Mama Bird? Like, in terms of if they're looking for DNA, no matter what that type of DNA is, it could be blood, it could be hair, it could be transfer, whatever, fingerprints.
Yep.
Whatever they're trying to find, it's been so long since this crime happened that is also going to be a factor, making it more difficult to find. But when it comes to DNA as well, you have to have a certain amount to be able to find something. So I'm sure they're going through the best technology they have possible to find anything DNA-wise.
Sure, I would imagine.
Which will take time.
Turning it over to the FBI is my guess. Again, that's my assumption.
Yes.
So I don't know that for a fact. So, I mean, it's just like, even with the photos and stuff that were leaked, that is not something we as the general public would have seen under normal circumstances, even during the trial, if they had decided to make it a public affair to begin with, having cameras in the courtroom during the trial. That would have been shown specifically to the jurors, not to us as the public. So that is something we would have never seen regardless, you know? I mean, it's sickening.
I mean, I'm praying I never do see it.
Well,
but I just can't believe there are people that have access to it now.
No, nobody should have, period, except the jurors. And obviously the people that are involved directly.
Well, and you have to think, no matter what, there was a man who committed suicide because of whatever this all engaged and involved.
Yeah, what it all contained, what it meant.
This was a married man who had a child, who, you know, whatever the string or his engagement or involvement of what he knew. I mean, you'll never know of, you know, who did give this to you, sir? What were you supposed to do to this? Were you supposed to do something? Were you supposed to send it to somebody? I mean, this person ended up committing suicide. It could be for other reasons. We don't know that, but my God.
No. Yeah. You do have to. I wonder why. I mean, yeah.
And I mean, for him to have gone to that extreme, it's sad. That is a sad situation right there. You know? And I feel for that family. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's that's part of the stuff that how the family felt when this all got out there.
And they're still being attacked. I just want to mention the family members are still being attacked by conspiracy theorists online. Like, it's like craziness.
You know what's sad though? I think no matter what, happens, that even when it's all said and done, and if someone's arrested, if this wasn't screwed up enough that it doesn't get a conviction or something like that, that no matter what, they would probably still always have those people who are going to still believe whatever they want to believe, no matter what. The thing that I fear the most is that if they're, again, from the detectives themselves, they had said that they believe there'd be somebody else involved. They didn't say on what level, they didn't say whatever. But if there is somebody else out there who was involved in some way, whether setting it up, whether knowing it was going to happen, whether helping it happen, whether participating before the fact,
whether lying for alibi.
How do we get that person when evidence this critical gets out there? How do they do that?
Right.
You have the FBI, the head of the FBI going, one of the big things is that the person who committed the murders, the people who are going to know about the murders, they're going to have, remember what he said? He didn't say a ritualistic thing. What did he call it? A signature. This person's signature.
And there's a big difference between, ritualism and a signature. A signature could be a lot of different things, you know.
Yeah. Yes, endless really possibilities we can speculate what that means, but there are so many ways that that could be described as a signature. Something
Well,
at the
sure.
crime scene, something
Even
on the
them saying
body,
about
something
the
done.
F on the tray. Again, in my opinion, I don't see that F. I think I see splatter. Again, that's in my opinion, you know, but that's, you know, everybody else may feel totally different, you know, but
Right.
that's
Right.
in my opinion. And the other thing too is we cannot get away from the fact that he admitted how many times between his wife and his mother that he committed these murders.
Right. 5 to 6 times.
How do you just, you know, walk away from that and say, oh, he didn't ever say that? You know, he broke his iPad, for heaven's sakes, that he didn't have to pay for, mind you. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm just,
I just feel like what major conspiracy theory is everybody thinking about that a special judge, not even in the same county where all this shit happened, is somehow involved in a conspiracy against Richard Allen and his attorneys? You know, I think that as soon as I really believe that as soon as the prosecution saw that when the defense attorneys, the first thing they decide to do, and I can pull that up if you guys haven't seen it, and you guys want to see it, I'll pull it. The first thing they did that when about this case was just talking about how innocent that Richard Allen was before they get deep into the stuff. And as soon as that happened, what was the big thing that was filed by the prosecution? Hey, we need a gag order. Because these guys are trying to play it in what?
Yeah.
In public opinion, out in the public. They're trying to do that. And don't
Yeah.
you feel like that this was kind of a way around going around public opinion? You leak the information and stuff out, except it's beyond that. When you talk about it being the crime scene of 2 little girls who were murdered is crazy. And by the way, I'm glancing at chat and stuff like that too, guys. So I do see you out there. So I do have something to bring up about Keegan Klein, which I will do in a second. But I know you guys had your list of stuff. Did we hit on all of that stuff? By the way, if you are looking at the screen, this is the updated, an extra extension. I'll put it that way. An extra extension from the Indiana Supreme Court. So as you can see this talks about information that has to be provided to the Indiana Supreme Court, and that it'll be completed. And so we're looking at late November here for this to be reviewed. Now, what's going to happen? I don't know. I listen to the attorneys who review this just like you guys do. You know, after the fact, she could have sat here. I always felt like she did this, somebody's going to fire somebody from a job. They try to do them a favor and be like, look, man, we're going to fire you, but if you want to go ahead and quit to save face, we'll let you do that. And I feel like that was kind of the option that was given, and
Possibly.
and so
maybe she shouldn't have.
Right. Unfortunately, at this point, looking back, but we all do that. Unfortunately, as human beings in general, we look back and say we should have, could have, would have, but it should have been done on camera, and that's the only thing I would say to that. And, you're, like you said, trying to save their careers, not to make them look bad, but I don't know.
Now they're trying to ruin his.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
so I think that, after the fact, did she know that he was going to quit, get pissed off and quit verbally? No. When you walk in and you watch that few minutes that she spoke, Judge Gull was kind of like, well, surprising to the court, He just verbally said, said this and gave his notice. And then the other defense attorney said he's going to give it in writing. And then now they're trying to push back on that, all this time later. Well, if they wanted to do that, and how were they pressured when you had that much time to prep beforehand? There isn't. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's anything else, Paige, that you had on your notes that we didn't?
No, I just looked through. I'm pretty sure we've covered the points I've written down. Yeah. Mama Bear, do you have any? Like, I know you had some bullet points.
I think the only other thing would be the strategy, of the defense and so forth. That would be my other thing. And I wonder how much Richard Allen actually knows what was truly leaked. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
He may know everything. I don't know. But I mean, that's huge for him. I mean, we all want, just because, yes, we obviously love the family very much. And we want justice for Abby and Libby, most definitely. But we also want a fair trial for Richard Allen. Why? Because we don't want him to be able to appeal. I mean, yes, will he have an appeal? Of course. We want it to be denied because it was a fair trial.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
And if he keeps these defense attorneys, he has an automatic appeal. Period.
Absolutely.
If she keeps them, we're just wasting Indiana taxpayer money and time by allowing her to keep them, because we're going to go through all of it. They're going to follow it. They're going to extend it. And when it's all said and done, he's going to be able to say, oh my God, I had horrible attorneys and they leaked this crime scene stuff, and they leaked the strategy of the case out there. And that's why this failed. And I was found guilty. Obviously he's not going to appeal if he's found innocent, but I was found guilty. So why go through the whole cost of doing it now? Go ahead and reassign the attorneys that are going to start it all over again and do it, which is horrible for the families. We don't know that January, those prosecutors could have wanted to be ready to go on January. They could be ready to go with their information, ready to go with whatever evidence. They could walk in there and tell us evidence that everybody would have to shut the hell up and go, oh my God, they've got it. Or vice versa. They could go in there and say, well, they really don't have anything. They don't, they only had his statement and the bullet, which I would argue the bullet's kind of good, but they could go in there and have way more than we even know. And we don't know that yet because the prosecution is not leaking their stuff, because that's not what you do. You don't do that.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. I just can't understand how you're even allowed to keep your job, period.
Oh, exactly.
You shouldn't be allowed to be an attorney, period.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They could have a lot of stuff that's one thing that attorneys have pointed out, that actually if Judge Gull had listed like all of these actions that they kept doing out there, it could have been, those could be used to charge against him for losing your license, losing all kinds of stuff if they would have kept track of that. But
absolutely. And two, by her appointing the new set of attorneys for him, his Sixth Amendment rights are being met. I mean, we don't have any clue yet what these other two attorneys are going to be like, because they haven't been given a chance yet. I mean, the previous attorney showed up in court on the 31st. So, it's a rigmarole,
They're just claiming that their defense strategy will be ruined because they won't be doing it anymore, obviously.
Well, they put out their defense strategy, so
and it's not working very well. Clearly, they were fired.
I mean,
so move on.
They did say that they're going to help pro bono, right? That they wanted to help pro bono.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
I feel like to save face, they may keep doing that, which honestly, then you've got Richard Allen, who benefits a lot because right now he technically would have multiple attorneys, right? That, not saying that Baldwin and stuff could say anything at the court, but they could help those other attorneys in the background with trying to help getting Richard Allen off. And that would be multiple people working on his case for him.
how sustainable is that on a financial level, though, too? You know,
Right.
this is a very high profile case. You're talking millions of dollars for all the specialists they need and people to, you know, say that this is wrong for the
Imagine how
prosecution.
long
You know,
it's gonna be when it actually starts.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be something that's done in
No.
48 hours.
I just
No.
find, I don't know why,
No.
for me, and I don't know, maybe it's just because of the date itself that, you know, we found out about Richard Allen during the press release on October 31st, and that we have this court date that happened this year, October
Yeah.
31st. And now, you know, the actual new scheduled date with the new attorneys is supposed to happen that week. You know, basically ending on October 31st. I don't know, that date, you know, just because of it, just sounds, you know,
Mm.
strange to me. But so
And I like Halloween.
I know that's
yes,
your favorite holiday.
yeah.
I'm still mentally living in it.
We
Just
know,
so you all
honey.
know.
So
We
I
know.
do want to share, some news with you guys, some big news and stuff with you guys. And that is that I've got to figure out how to set up the show, but I will have some very interesting information to share with you. I had a Freedom of Information Act request that I did on some details with Keegan Klein that I received during the time frame that he was moved in custody out of Peru and taken by with the Indiana State Police. And I found something very interesting when I got this. Now, if you watched a show a while back, well, it's been a while back, I had asked for this same time frame before from the courts. And at the time, they said, okay, this was going to be denied because possibly kept to use in a criminal case. I'll just use that word, what it is. And I had shared that reply that I had from it. Well, I did an additional request. I even extended some dates and stuff on there, and I received some information back. And why? Well, one, you know, I always like when we bust the CSAM guys because I'm about that. I will let you know, I recently also had found, I can't tell the details of it right now, but I did find somebody, and this person was, I guess I can say who it's connected to, right? You guys think?
Sure. You go.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
go, girl.
Absolutely.
You go, girl. It's your
I
show. You do it.
Yes, okay, I'll put it this way. I found two additional pedophiles that were connected to Keegan Klein, and one that had not been taken down. And I found him and turned him in, and I'm thrilled about that. And also, you know, you all know, and I know because I know Cold Truth's in here. I have my bias. Cold Truth knows my bias. That I feel like that Keegan Klein connection I can't get rid of just because of how much in common a lot of this CSAM meetups, sexual assaults, sex trafficking, kidnapping, stuff like that happens so much. And
And
because
the
of
X
following
being
all of
you.
that, that's why I just can't let that Anthony Schatz connection with Keegan Klein go, that was happening with Libby. So anyway, I will be showing the information from Freedom of Information Act I got. It is going to show you somebody probably communicating with him that is interesting, maybe not shocking, but is interesting. But it tells you something about
The
something.
timeline is
Yes,
interesting,
very
right?
interesting.
Right.
Yes.
And that this person, now, let me say this. It is not a person that's already out there saying that they were, let me put it this way. They were not somebody who's already said they've been out there communicating with Keegan Klein, right? It's not somebody who said, oh, yes, I've been talking to him during this time and blah, 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 blah. It's not.
It's somebody who hasn't said anything.
It was
Right.
a rabbit. It was a rabbit hole. Just go there.
And so, well, rabbit hole implies that that there was nothing
No,
found, but I think it's
no,
more
no.
eye-opening. And that this person probably was panicked because they were meeting practically daily with Keegan Klein prior to knowing that he was going to be going to talk to the police about something with Delphi that they took him over to the Air Force Base for. And then right within a couple of days after that, then they were searching the water. So, is that a
I meant the
teaser? I
rabbit
think
hole
that's a
for the
teaser,
rest.
right? That's a teaser. That's a
I'm
For
sorry,
sure.
honey. I meant the rabbit hole for the rest of it. I
Oh,
apologize.
yeah.
Yes, that's
So,
The rest.
the rest.
so yes. And by the way, if you didn't see in my community post, I did post about the site. How do they pronounce that site, Paige? Omegle, what is it called? Omegle or
Omegle.
Omegle. Omegle finally got shut down. It basically was losing money because it had too many things that were happening with children, and that it was they talk about how much that pedophiles enjoyed this, but yet we still have the Yubu app out there, people. So
The yellow app.
if you're out there, you've got to pay attention to that stuff. And please make sure your kids, when they're on there, that doesn't mean that they're doing something bad. There's a lot of these things are used for them to talk to each other while they're playing video games or while they're doing all this stuff. It's just that the pedophiles use that to get to them and they don't realize that. So we've got to be very proactive in watching what your kids are on, what they're doing. Talk to them, make sure that they know that hey, I know you can be on this, and sometimes somebody can talk to you about something uncomfortable or ask you to do something, or definitely let them know that people pretend to be kids when they're actually adults and what they try to ask them to do. Even talk to them about, sometimes people make mistakes and maybe you sent a picture, something like that, and please know that you can come to me or whomever, whatever parent or guardian, and tell us so that you're safe.
And JSD has a video as well on how you can report those kind of things if you are very, scared and nervous about the situation. She talks you through how to do that, who to call, who to email, the website you need to go on.
Right. And if you're scared that your child is going to be held accountable for a photo, because I know about that story that I shared about some stupid officer in Ohio who was threatening a kid about, oh, well, you post these pictures, we're going to charge you shit. Let me just say this. Go directly to NetMech. Right? Go to NetMech and report it through there. Use the links to show it. Don't delete anything yet. Don't do anything from it. Just keep it that you have the links, keep that you take screenshots of what these people were called and things like that. Help your kid go and report that to NetMech. Unless you know that somebody is trying to meet up with your child or has met up with your child, then you would want to contact your local authorities and call 911 immediately. And that way, because they're in danger and you don't want them to be in danger. So have that conversation with your kids, so that you make sure that they're protected. So we have a lot of stuff that's going on. I apologize again for the delay. In between my off time, for fun, I go have surgeries, and I just finished having a surgery, and I did okay. during that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back in here and covering this stuff. But I appreciate you guys so much for coming and watching us and joining us and being a part of the discussion and sharing your thoughts and opinions and everything. And it just means so much, you know.
Yeah.
And my
Absolutely.
channel doesn't really get promoted out there, honestly, because
We are not
I don't
monetized.
Probably
monetize,
because
and
you're
I
one of the ones that tell the truth.
yeah, well,
Just
it's
saying.
from the monetization part. The only reason I just don't want to mess with that kind of crap. I don't want to keep track of it.
No.
I don't do it for to make money, although I mean I like money, don't get me wrong. And I already have Jinx who promised that when I croak she's going to raise money because I can't get life insurance because how ill, you know, they don't give you life insurance when you're already dying. They don't let you have that happen. So but you know, so you guys can all raise money for me when that happens. But you know, I think that you know, they only worry about pushing your channel out there if you monetize because they want to make money off of you and you know, and I feel bad that they take so much
That's a
money.
part of it, isn't it? YouTube
Yeah,
promotes you more.
YouTube takes so much money from people. That's horrible. And then
Yeah, YouTube.
and so that's not right. And then plus, you know, it's just like
It's causing people to hear wrong information, misinformation. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't want
Age is like, yes.
I'm keeping it in. I'm trying to.
yeah.
I
think
you do it and we all do it too, JSD, because we care and we just
we try to go
want
in
to
there.
do it.
I mean, the best thing you can help me do is if you subscribe, you like the show, you comment about the show, let us
Yeah.
know what you think, let us know if there's something you want to cover or if there's questions that you have. Please, look at the community post. And I got to tell you, I'm bad at that myself. I am horrible. I got to remember, like I follow a lot of people and I got to remember to go look at their community postings because I watch videos, but then I don't go necessarily look at what they're posting, but I try to do better at that. And,
And we all just want to do right by the families, don't we?
Yeah.
You know?
And also that, the other thing, YouTube doesn't want you to be monetized if you use certain terms. So because I say murder or that I say suicide or that I say sexual abuse or any of those terms,
Child pornography.
they will not allow. Well, one, if we have a lot of true crime people, and I don't know how you talk about true crime and don't use the proper wording. I just don't know how you do it.
It's just, I feel like it just takes away, the victim's pain, and how tragic and brutal the circumstances are of what happened to them to kind of use wordplay and just use initials of things. Yeah, it takes away from it, in my opinion.
Stuff. I mean,
yeah. And, if you are listening to true crime for the right reasons, you're not doing it as entertainment purposes. You're doing it because you want to learn, you want to pay respect, you want to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think that it doesn't do justice for me. And and trust me, I don't want anybody who does monetize and uses the word unalive to feel like I'm not insulting them or saying anything about it.
No.
I'm not
Can be uncomfortable.
I know you do what you do and have it, but that's why I'm not huge, right? I don't have thousands and thousands of people. But it wouldn't feel right for me to tell you that Abby and Libby were unalived, right? Abby and Libby were murdered. They were murdered by somebody.
Yeah.
And
that's the case that brought us together. I mean, so it means a lot to us.
A lot of people. There's a lot of people in chat who I've known for a long time.
Yeah.
We listen to listen on other true crime things. I mean, Cold Truth I met through watching her channel, which is great. With Jinx, I've met Jinx through the channels and stuff like that. I know Lynn was in here.
Yeah,
Lynn, I knew, God, she was like way back when we were all watching the original shows, like way long time ago.
Yes.
And the only reason that I really started was because there were some things that I felt, and I'm just going to say it, that some male creators necessarily didn't really go into or feel that it was kind of an important piece of it, where I felt like more should be out there. And that was about the CSAM aspect. That was about the catfishing. That was about the Yellow app. That was about what was Keegan Klein doing, that type of stuff. And then, and then other cases that they care about and stuff like that too. So, and that was just me. It's like, God, I feel like this should be covered more. And it wasn't.
We did kind of push her until she found her voice. For sure, because
we would never,
as you guys can tell, she's so brilliant. And when we all came together and met, we were all like, come on, you need your own YouTube channel. Like, why don't you have one yet?
Yeah, exactly.
And she did, finally.
Oh my God, I was so scared. I was so scared to get started. And that's been a long way, but
she's not scared anymore now.
No, obviously not.
Oh,
get out of her
you
way.
can tell, right?
Go off and have a fit.
We still get nervous, but she don't.
We're afraid of her, but
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
You know what? Here's the thing. I mean, I almost started the show with the song "Don't Believe the Hype." I'm sure there's some people out there. Don't believe this hype bullshit that people sit here and I don't understand it. I really don't understand. There are people who make up shit and they get like thousands and thousands of people and thousands and thousands of views, and they're sad. Some of them don't even care. Some of them don't even care about the kids.
The sad reality of a majority of people who are taking in true crime content, they are only doing it for entertainment purposes. They want to know the most graphic and crazy drama sort of twisted stories. So they're taking in this info and they're enjoying it. They don't care if it's true. They're not listening to someone say something and then thinking to themselves, maybe I should research and look into that.
Yeah.
They're not doing it because they're enjoying this kind of crazy conspiracy. Right. And it's really sad.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I want to make sure, obviously, I'm going to make sure that Abby and Libby get justice. That's the prime reason.
Yes.
It's not about those damn defense attorneys. It's not about the judge. It's not about the prosecutor. It is about justice for Abby and Libby. Absolutely. And what we do want is we want the truth out there. And what I do want is to let you guys know what we find out and what are facts. If it's my opinion, I always tell you ahead of time, this is my opinion. If I have the stuff for it, I'll show you and say, this is why I say what I say. Just like I know there's some out there saying that the girls were not wearing what they said they were wearing. I made that video. Let me say this. I still stand by the video that says that when the girls were missing during the Amber Alert, it was sweatpants and jeans. Why? That's the only evidence and news and police reports and Amber Alert that I saw. I've never seen anything that said different. Now, if it comes out later that it was different and they confirm it, okay, fine. But that's what evidence and stuff I have to share with you guys. And when it comes to protecting your kids and things happening to kids or helping families who feel like their cases are being ignored, or that we can change laws to help our kids and protect our kids, or to make sure people are serving time for what they should be serving time for. Absolutely. Cold cases, missing cases, whatever. That's what I try to do, and that's what I try to help. And there's many very good people out there who are doing true crime. Yes. And a bunch of them I love.
They are sadly overshadowed by the bad sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's true.
So, But Mama Bear and Paige, thank you so much for being up here.
Thanks for having
thank
us
you.
today. We love
joining
you.
me.
You know that.
And
Thank you.
yes, we had fun. They knew I was going to bitch and cuss a lot this day. So.
All right.
So,
Good night. Thanks
all
for
right.
having us up.
Thanks, Mama Bear.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, Miss Paige. Yes, so thank you to both of them. I love having them out there. Thank you, Jinx and Kelt, always for helping and being here and making sure that we're all going. And thank you, everybody. Hybrid, I am glad you got to make a casserole. That's awesome. Please make sure, thank you for reminding me, Jinx. Please make sure to please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. It'll remind you of all the shows and things that are coming up. You don't want to miss what I'm going to share with everybody about Keegan Klein update. I know you guys are going to want to hear about that and other stuff that we are working on. So thank you guys again. Thank you for showing your support of me always. I really appreciate it. And thank you for making sure that justice is served daily. Goodbye, everybody.